All right. And I want to welcome all of you on behalf of DIIT. You know me, my name's Laura Ogando, Program Manager for the Office of Digital Literacy and Inclusion. Again, super excited to be back with all of you here today, celebrating again that we made it through a week, but also that we are going to get to learn more about Wide Open School. I don't believe Lisa's actually here, but she sends her best. She had a couple of conflicting meetings. So that is why I don't believe she's joining us today. But I'm going to pass it over to my girl, Christina, who is here. So take it away, girl.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everybody. Y'all know me, Christina, EdTech Program Implementation Manager at DIT. Excited for today's session as usual, and happy Friday. This is always the highlight of my week. Not only is it Friday, but it's an awesome dynamic group of people who are wanting to learn and thrilled about it. So what better way to start Friday off? So passing it back to Laura.
Thank you. And I always say on behalf of my colleague Latiqua High, you know she's on the back end, making sure you get all the important links. So if you need anything, remember, you're going to pop it in the chat. One of us is absolutely going to help you out. We got you covered. All right. But welcome. All right. Welcome to our Digital Professional Development Fridays. So glad that all of you can join us. Remember, if your colleague is not here yet and you want them to be here, just let them know. I went ahead and popped a little reminder in our parent coordinator team, just telling folks, hey, it's not in team, it's in Zoom. But you know, if you can also pass along the message, that helps. And we'll get the folks from teams. We always do. Don't worry. All right, but gonna pass it over to my girl Derry from FACE to talk a little bit about some updates on her end.
Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Derry. I work at the Office of Family and Community Empowerment. I am accompanied by my colleague, Diana Miller. She's in the chat, and also Chanel. We will be learning and growing together and just answering any questions FACE related. But I'm excited for this workshop today, actually PD, because I use Wide Open Schools all the time for the workshops that I do. And what's cool about Wide Open Schools, if you look at, if once you go in, there's a hub that is showcasing the parent university. So it's all about family empowerment, family tools. And another cool thing is that I love, 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 love the template. I don't like to create something new. I like to 2.0 something. So if I see it, I want to use it. So I'm really excited with Ali and her team and at Wide Open Schools to show us some cool things today. With that, I just want to remind folks that Watch Party Wednesday is March 10th. We will have a special guest who's going to talk to us about advancing equity. Now, I did mention that we will be providing opportunities for a focus group March 4th, 11th, 18th, and 20, and March 25th. We're going to pause that. So I wanted to show the dates because I want to pause it because we're still in the process of making sure that when we put the focus groups together, that we have the information that we want to provide, and we want to make sure that we're ready for this. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that we're going to hold off, but give you a sneak preview that we will have a Summer in the City engagement toolkit, and we're going to have some opportunities to talk about what can we do to what are some of your techniques or strategies to welcome newly arrived families in your schools. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my girl Laura to introduce our next topic. And I just want to say happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for all you do. Super excited for today's topic. It's all about family and community partnerships, resources, and this is what we do, everyone. So super stoked. See you guys in a few.
Thank you so much, Derry. All right, so you know how we do, or at least I hope you do, but I know we might have some new folks. So we like to do a couple polls, you know, just kind of feeling out the room. So I'm gonna launch our Who's in the Zoom room. I know we have our parent coordinators representing because we always do, but I also know that we get a lot of our FSCs, our FLCs. We sometimes even get just a couple of teachers and secretaries and administrators. So feel free, let us know what your role is. And if you happen to be the handful of folks that are selecting other, let us know in the chat. What's that other? What you doing? All right, I'm going to give folks about 2 more moments. And I'm going to end it and share. So as per usual, our parent coordinators are showing up, representing. So welcome to all of you. And I know that we have some of our FSCs and FLCs, a couple teachers. So welcome to everyone who's here. Again, you made it through another week. And that's no easy feat. All right, so we have another poll. You know how we do. We also have to ask you, how are you feeling? And because we know that some folks, are looking at the screen going, all these feelings, right? You have that H and I, which are not necessarily featured in the picture that you're seeing, but nonetheless, they are options for you to pick from. So maybe you're having none of those feelings, and maybe you're like a lot of us, you have all the feelings.
I feel like all the feelings has become a safe default for many.
Totally. I have to say, I get it. I get it.
I get it too. All the feelings, all the feels.
It's real, guys.
It is real.
I'm telling you, like sometimes even within like an hour's time period, I go from like feeling stressed and anxious, and then I feel like, oh, okay, I think it's gone, it's good, and then I'm back to being like a little stressed, and then I get happy. I mean, like it's everything.
All the emotions, all feeling at the same time. Although when you show the results of this poll, there's another one that's in the lead. So
I know, which actually is making me feel pretty good about things.
yeah.
So I'll give folks just another moment or so. Remember, all feelings are valid, and if you've done any
Hi,
of
I'm
the
sorry to
royal
interrupt,
work,
guys. There's a lot of people in the other link because there's a chat
we know.
is disabled.
Yeah, we'll get them in here. Don't worry. We got folks on the back end pulling folks in from the teams into here, but I appreciate the help. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna end this, and look, we got folks actually saying they're happy. Go figure. I tend to think it's because we're here for our fabulous Friday PDs, and how could you not be happy about that, right? So wait, there we go. Now I'm sharing it to folks. So happy is in the lead, followed very closely by all the feelings. So listen, we're here, we made it, and hopefully you are ready for a fabulous weekend ahead. So with that, I'm actually going to stop sharing and want to show you kind of what's happening essentially now through to spring break, because we did ask you kind of what you wanted. So next week we got Microsoft coming in. They're going to lead an entire PD about Microsoft Sway. That was something that a lot of you said you wanted. So that's something that you can look forward to. And we're getting the representative from Microsoft to lead that. Then March 19th, we're going to do our kind of best practices for remote facilitation part 2. We have a part 2 to that class. So a lot of you requested that. So that is happening on March 19th. And then the most requested class after that was some of our translation work. So we are going to kind of give you a twofer. All right, a 2-for-1. We're going to do 2 of our sessions kind of in one. We're going to talk about writing for effective translation and writing in plain language, because really they do go hand in hand. And if you're looking to create content that your community can access, especially if English is not necessarily their native language, then you're going to want to show up for that. And that basically takes us to spring break. All right. So just kind of, wanted to show all of this to you. And then in our next couple of sessions, we'll do another poll to kind of gauge what the topics should be for after spring break. All right. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Tali and Gretchen from Common Sense. I am super excited for them, and you are all in for a treat. So without further ado, Tali, please take it away. And just, would you like me to stop sharing so that you can share?
Yes, thank you.
All
And
right.
I'm all ready to share my screen then. Thanks, Laura.
Beautiful.
And it is a pleasure to see everyone this morning. I'm sorry I've missed the past few weeks a bit. But as a reminder, I'm Tali, I'm from Common Sense. We are a nonprofit organization. We've had a longstanding partnership with the DOE. I'm a former classroom teacher, so I have to shout out Mrs. Shimano, who is my parent coordinator, who is amazing. And I'm a DOE parent, so I have to shout out Miss Pamela, who is on today, who's my kids' parent coordinator. So I'm so delighted that she could join. That's my colleague and supervisor, Merv, you're looking at in front of you. He is not here, but I am using his background. That's his daughter, you can see, so he's here in spirit. And I'm so excited to introduce Gretchen Lee. Oh, Gretchen, you know what? I have your old last name.
No worries, no worries.
And I'm gonna turn it over to you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here this morning. My name is Gretchen Oshodipe, and I am the founder of an organization called Co-Teach. And Co-Teach partners with schools and with families directly and with organizations to make sure that families have everything they need to support their learners. And so really excited to talk to you today about some at-home learning guides that are sure to make it way more easy for parents to kind of connect with their students around what they're learning at school. So really excited about that.
It's been such a pleasure working with you, Gretchen, and you are also a parent, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I usually have a picture. This is my picture on the screen, but I usually have my picture of my three. So I have a 7-year-old Naomi, a 5-year-old in a couple of days, Lydia, and a 3-year-old, Joshua. So it is on and popping, and they're all down here, and at any moment could pop in on the screen. Let's be real. So just an FYI, but they're the bomb. So if they do, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Great, thanks, Gretchen. And everyone, you can follow along. We have these slides, of course. We also have an agenda with all of the notes, so you can access it at that tiny URL. I think someone will probably pop it in the chat as well. And really what we want to talk to you about today is talking more about Wide Open School. As Laura mentioned, you're familiar with it, but we're really going to introduce some new features that Gretchen and her team have been incredibly hard at work developing, and we're so excited about. And then we're going to talk about strategies you can share with your families. And really, you know, this is all, we're going to start off by showing these parent caregiver guides. So just at a high level, the whole point of this is to really help bridge that gap between school and home learning. I mean, we all know parents, caregivers, we're also all educators as well. And so how can we even know more about what's going on? How can teachers have more support in terms of communicating with parents and families about what's happening? And I want to say about this too, and I know Gretchen is going to reiterate it, that really the resources that are put together today as we're sharing them to you, we welcome feedback, would love to know what you think is working, if you think anything could be clearer, if you have ideas about the best ways to deliver this to your families, please share. We're going to have an opportunity to go into breakout sessions as well and talk about that more. Anything to add here in terms of the kind of goals kicking us off, Gretchen?
So I'm just going to go goal by goal, but when we think about the bridge between school instruction, one of the things that we've been hearing a lot from parents, it's kind of like a hot potato. Like at first the school had the child, now the parent has a child, and they're like, what are we doing? You know, they're like, I see that they're doing math, but what specifically are they doing in math, and what kind of questions am I supposed to ask? And so these guides were intended and designed to make sure that parents have enough clarity around the content so that they can actually like use some of the language and support their children in learning. In terms of like building dual capacity, these caregiver guides were also designed to help teachers think about, okay, I'm not just doing this by myself. I'm doing this alongside parents. Like we are co-teaching, we are doing this together. And so if I can start thinking as I'm designing my lessons, what is an easy way for somebody to like engage their learner as they're cooking or as they're walking down the street or as they're doing, what are some simple, easy ways that doesn't turn me as a parent or a caregiver into a teacher, but my children are hearing similar things and they're like, everywhere I go, people are on the same page about my learning, and they're invested in making me a better learner. And the third thing is empowerment for families, and like just recognizing all of our agency. I like to think about it like when my children were really little and I would take them to the pediatrician, and they would give me like a couple of things to think about before I came. They're like, how much are they eating? How much are they sleeping? How much are they da 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 da? And they had even some developmental goals. And so when I went into the pediatrician's appointment, I'd be like, hey, I'm noticing this. And the doctor was able to use my observations and use my insights as a parent in order to say, oh my goodness, Gretchen, maybe we should try this, this, and this, and that's going to make it all the better for your child. And so that's kind of the same heart of these parent caregiver guides, is that now, instead of like us having a conversation maybe with a teacher that says like, what can I do with supporting my learner at math? Now you have this parent caregiver guide, and you're like, I'm noticing that when they subtract 3 minus 5, this is the mistake that they're making. Can you tell me what to do about that? And so we get to use our insights and our expertise as family members in order to really partner with our teachers. And I'm really excited about that level of clarity, and it's super easy to do.
Thanks. And actually, that's a perfect transition, because to kick off this conversation, we want to hear from all of you. What are some of the challenges that you're hearing from your families in terms of helping their children learn at home? And Gretchen, I know we were talking about, do you mind, before people jump into the Menti, sharing a couple of challenges that you've been hearing about?
Yeah, totally. So sometimes people are saying like, I don't even know what the content is, or there's some terms that I see on the homework, number bonds or whatever, that I don't know what those terms mean. Or if families are working from home, they're like, how am I supposed to attend to this crying situation that we got going over here and I'm on a call? Or if they're not home, they're just like, I kind of don't know how to balance this new level of at home learning and like regular, being at home kind of integration. And so those are some of the challenges, but we'd love to hear, those are some of the ones I've heard, but we'd love to hear guides more responsive to what? Yeah. Somebody saying it's a parent challenge in the chat is how to keep the child engaged all day in front of the computer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you can go ahead and also
Super
respond
helpful.
at this in this Menti. So we put the link in the chat. You can just type in, and then we'll also all be able to see people's responses. That's both in the agenda. You can see it on your own, and I'm also going to pull that up as well. So feel free to share directly in the chat or on the Menti so that we can all see too. And I like, if you haven't used Menti before, I like this tool because it's free. It's not asking you for any login or sign-in information. And then we can see everybody's responses in real time. And we're going to give you a couple minutes to reflect and fill this out. Okay. Yes, this one very much resonates with me, working from home and can't supervise. Getting teens. Yeah, kids going to other sites. Technology and language barriers. I'm seeing in the chat too, talking about student motivation. Yeah, and also language barriers. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at this one too, Gretchen. Parents lacking some of the capacity, and I'm thinking about how the parent guides will really design with that in mind as well. Motivation piece here. Yes, a lot of stressful situations happening. One other piece, as you're filling this out, I've seen this tool used with parent coordinators, kicking off meetings sometimes with families, asking them, just how are you feeling, or what's going on, or what are your kind of biggest concerns? And this can be a great way to get that information quickly too, and anonymously as well.
One of the things too, I saw helping multiple children at once totally resonates, and the idea of like feeling overwhelmed and inadequate. The three kind of pillars that we wanted to design these the guides, and we're about to get into them around, is clarity. And so really making sure that parents are clear, caregivers are clear about what the content is, and providing resources, easy resources for them to kind of like make sure that they understand it. And so that whole idea of feeling insecure and they're like, I'm not really sure how to do this. Like, we're thinking about the parent and caregiver to make sure that's happening. The idea of having paper and pencil things, like these could be printed out. And so like the idea for a notebook, and like, I just want something to hold in my hand, I can't be on the computer anymore, like that's also an option. And one of the things that kind of keeps coming up is motivation and participation, right? And so there's a lot of things that we can go into around how do we build motivation for our children, how do they build it for themselves. But one of the main things is competence, like a child feeling like they got it, a child feeling like they understand. That's a huge motivator. And so, and a child feeling like they understand why, the why behind what they're doing. And so now these parent guides are really designed to make sure that you understand the why and you understand what they're learning. And so instead of like, I'm doing math, it's like, man, you're getting so good at multiplying 2-digit numbers, or wow, that level of specificity is super key to motivation. And so we want to make sure that everybody has that.
So I think then, given all this, I'm gonna go ahead and take us over to the website, Gretchen.
That sounds great.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna ask everybody, I'm gonna have us start from the beginning. So I'm gonna actually open a new tab and you can follow along with me. This will also be in the chat, nycschools.wideopenschool.org. If you don't already have this bookmarked, I would recommend you bookmark it. So as Derry mentioned to start off, there is that direct link to Parent University. We're not going to focus there today, but just so you can see it. And really the idea here is that this is kind of the one-stop shop for everything that your families need. So right now we're going to focus on the parent and caregiver guide. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and you can go along and follow along with us. So I'm going to start. What do you think, Gretchen? Let's start with kindergarten. Oh, and just a quick note: these are rolling out in a little bit of a slower, thoughtful way. So your principals will be getting an announcement next week with this information to share with families. And then we're uploading all the different grade levels right now. So Gretchen's been working on elementary school. We've got all of those. They're going to be coming out. And thank you, Gretchen, for all those links.
Yeah. You
will see 6th, 7th, and 8th are there. And high school is going to be coming a little bit later. In your agenda, we want you to stay on this site, but just for you to see, in your agenda to look at later, you have direct links to several of these parent guides as well over here. So I'm going to take us back to the website right now, and I'm going to click on kindergarten. And then Gretchen, do you want me to click on any one in particular as you walk us through it?
Yeah, let's start with ELA.
Okay, great.
Yep. So one of the things, one of the questions or one of the concerns was that like it's the language barrier, and maybe that's not their first language. And so here you see that we've got these translated into the top 10 languages. High school is coming. That's how the quote in the chat. High school is coming. It's already been done. They're uploading it probably this week and next week. And so there'll be one for high schools too. So yeah. So we're gonna click in, and like I said, you could access this through the platform, or you can print it out. It's totally fine either way. I'm gonna walk you through, no problem. I'm gonna walk you through like the organization. And so if you see at the very top upper corner, it just tells you the grade, the subject, the topic, and the domain, right? So one of the things that we were trying to be really intentional about, we know families are super busy. And we know that families are often trying to respond to what their children are learning right now. There are a lot of different curriculums that are going on across the different schools. And so we anchored in one, and we anchored in kind of best practices across all of the schools. And so this particular lesson was taken from a curriculum that is common in a lot of schools, but we wanted to make sure that we just talked about like general ELA skills that all students needed to learn. So the big idea section right here is like, this is a big idea that kindergartners learn about. We tried our best as you go down the at-home learning guide that you could literally stop at any point as you go down, depending on how much time you have, right? So you could just like glance over and stop at the big idea. And it says, kindergarten learners learn that Native Americans were the first people to live on the continents of North and South America. Stop. You could like just take that information and talk about Native Americans at your house. You can talk about North and South America. You could talk about continents. You could do anything. And what we want parents and caregivers to feel really confident about is that even if they did that, they are building so much important background knowledge for their learner. They are connecting to what their learner is doing at school, and they are making it easier for their learner to engage in what they're doing in class. And so that was like the idea. We know that all new learning is connected to old learning and stuff they've already learned. And so anything you do, anything any of your parents do in relation to the content that's here, it's going to be beneficial for their learner. Then we keep going down and it says, building back, here are the literacy skills that your student and then your learner will be practicing. And these, what we keep hearing from parents, and I think I saw a lot of it, not even think, there's a lot of it in the chat about some of the concerns we're hearing from families, is that in front of the computer, it just feels like they're just going through class after class after class. And kids are like, I'm engaged in math, or I'm doing social studies, or I'm doing science, as opposed to I'm learning about rhyming words, or I'm learning how to engage with a website, or I'm learning the meaning of blank, blank, blank. So the latter, and being more specific about, man, after I go to this class, I'm gonna know how to do this. That's motivating. The former, I'm doing this, I'm doing my math lesson right now. That's not that motivating. Our children are brilliant. Our children are built to learn. That's what they do. And so they need to be super, super clear about what it is they're learning. So when you have these I can statements and these basically objectives, like this helps them be clear about what they're learning and helps you help them. So then this is divided into the chat, coach, and create. So everything here, like I said, is increments of time. So the chat is like, if you are multitasking, if I am going up a flight of stairs, if I'm going up a flight of stairs and we just want to talk about it on our way up the stairs, if I am cooking dinner and I just want to ask one of these questions while I'm cooking dinner, if I am doing bath or like about to go to bed, any of these chat questions are meant as questions that can spark kind of conversation related to what they're learning at any time while you're just like doing your regular life, right? And so what are the 7 continents? You know, and the cool thing about you and your learner is that as families start to ask these questions, other questions are going to come up. And then you'll be able to like go down the rabbit holes with them and like say, oh, what are the 7 continents? They miss one. It's like, oh, let's find out. Oh, it's Australia. You forgot that one. Let's talk about that. Who lives there? And so one thing is going to lead to another, is going to lead to another. There's some questions. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to jump in because as you're talking, what this is making me think of is my friend Monique Viard is a pre-K teacher, and what she's talked about, one of the things she's working on with her families is helping them develop what she calls an academic relationship with their kids. And I just think of this as a really helpful tool for saying like, hey, this is what it can look like, you know, to move beyond play sometimes, or to have that kind of academic conversation in a really simple, straightforward way.
Mm-hmm. I think that in the whole idea of an academic kind of relationship, all of us have developed a different kind of relationship with our learners at home with us more often. You know, we've seen them in this different light, and I have been amazed by just like how my children think. And so this is going to be like, one thing is going to spark another thing, is going to spark another thing. And so we're just really excited about, instead of a family trying to figure out like, what am I going to talk about? What do I do in order to like spark some curiosity or spark some conversation? These are some things that they'll probably already have background knowledge on in terms of like what they're learning in school, and you can just build off that. And you can like give them more background knowledge, which is going to make school even easier. Okay. The second section, coach, is exactly what some people in the Menti talked about, like a parent not feeling super secure. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm not sure what they're supposed to be learning. And so this section is going to give the family a little bit more information about the content, as well as have some links to things that they can check out and do with their child in order to really build that understanding. Sometimes it's games. So after we do this one, we'll be able to like go in and like look at the other ones, but sometimes it's computer games, academic games. Sometimes it's websites, sometimes it's videos. It's just all the things in order to make it super accessible. And then the last area is create. And so if I think about chat being like 5 minutes long and then coach being like 10 minutes long, then I'm thinking about the create being like 15 minutes. Like, this is what happens when you have like an asynchronous learning day and they finish early. And you're like, what are we doing? Like, I am trying, I'm working. What are you doing? This is something that you could set up and kind of like they can do some inquiry, or you can do some inquiry with them. That takes a little bit longer, maybe on one of those weekends that, you know, everything just kind of bleeds together these days since we're all at home. But these are going to be activities that are going to build off of the things that they've already learned, and it's designed if you got a little bit more time and a little bit more time.
Is that a fair analogy, Gretchen, to think about it when we were talking about the at-home video workouts, to think of like chat is kind of like, okay, this is like your beginner, or you've only got that quick 5 minutes. And then maybe later when you're more advanced and have more of the time, you can try create, but it's not in any way to ever make you feel bad if you're staying at the chat level, like that's completely fine.
100%. And this idea too is that like we are not trying to overwhelm families. Like, everybody has a lot on their plate already, you know? So we're not trying to overwhelm you with like one of these is going to come out every day and you have to like go through this whole page every day and then like you need to do X, Y, and Z. No, this is something that we're going to give for the whole month. Pick and choose from it as you will. For this particular content area, we're doing all 4 content areas. So we're doing, or not all 4, but we're doing ELA, math, social studies, and science. And so you can start from like an area of interest that your child really has and like go deep there. You can start from an area of concern and you're like, oh, we have some opportunities here that I really want to work on this, work on math together, you know? So you can start pretty much anywhere you want from any of these guides and then go from there.
Great. So what we'd love to do right now is, first, I appreciate everyone sharing questions. Feel free to keep putting questions in. We'd like to give you some time now in breakout rooms to talk with each other. So we want to give you actually about 10 minutes in breakout rooms. So the first 4 minutes or so to explore any of these parent guides for any grade levels of interest right now. And just as a reminder, for the ones that have not been uploaded yet, you have that on the agenda. You can look at an example of high school over here. And then when you're done exploring, or while you're exploring, we'd love for you to talk with your colleagues about how can you message this to families? What's the best way? I know there was already in the chat a question about, you know, is the goal that we're going to send families directly to here? Are we delivering it to them? The idea is that parents and caregivers are going to go directly to the site, but that you're going to help show them how to use it and what it looks like so that then they can go back on their own. So we're going to go into breakout rooms. You're going to look at the parent guides, and then you're going to talk about how you're going to share this information with your families. What are some of the different approaches this could look like? And actually, before I share, anyone want to just put in the chat any ideas of how you might share this? Or Derry, feel free, and Laura to jump in with any ideas of how you might share this with families.
Absolutely. I'm thinking right now, this would be great to share with our PAPTA, our parent leaders, as sort of like a show and tell. I would do a watch party. You guys know I'm big with watch parties. We have watch party Wednesdays. So I would do something where I will do sort of like, and when you're welcoming parents back to school, here's a tool when you're in the summer to support summer learning. This could be a watch party. So there's so many opportunities. And also, this is great to collaborate with educators in the building to say, how can we do a learning day in our school? So thank you.
We're just do this type of statements. So
So with that, Laura, I'm sorry, Talia
Yeah,
is back into the
I
first.
actually,
Oh,
I just wanted
But
to
it's
say, I'm
fine
thinking
yesterday,
about
right?
the work. uh, Please remember to keep yourselves muted. It's okay if it happens. But I was just thinking, Tally, about the workshop we did yesterday with Jackie, and talking about like that engagement piece and how do you communicate information to families. And the big takeaway from that was to make it fun. And so I also want to like really push you in that direction as well. Workshops are great, but I also feel like we're approaching that 1 year mark of like being in, quarantine and learning from home, and people are kind of like, they're losing the steam for the workshops, they're losing the steam for all that. So I think we have to infuse fun. And one of the suggestions that I heard yesterday was like doing game nights, kind of like making it like a trivia piece. So if you can take some of what's in here and then make it like, hey, can you find this resource, or can you do this thing with it, can you, I think it seems silly and hokey, but that will actually get your families to interact with the resources, to join you. And then if you even want to like take it to that next level, partner with some of your community-based organizations, get them to donate prizes and really gamify it. So make it fun. If I can just kind of push you in that direction, you will find that this will land way better than if you just like, oh, here's a workshop. I mean, I don't want to knock workshops, but I also want you to remember that if you've done several at this point in the year, which I'm assuming you have, your families might be a little workshopped out.
You know
One
what,
of the
Laura? You're making me think too with what came up in that same PD when they were talking about it, was that it was a family night too. And so I could imagine having like a family night where families are actually looking at the guides and practicing, or just having some of these conversations with their kids directly too. And it's a set time for that. This is great. And yes. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. One of the things too is that, and I have to like think about this later, but like adult learning principles. One of the things, we always are so focused on our kids as learners, but our families are learners too. And we have basically thrown our families into the deep end, and it's like, good luck, you know? And so what we are trying to do right now is kind of rectify that and say, hey, y'all were learning, just like we would never throw a student teacher into a classroom and be like, let us know how it goes. We're one that our families are basically like learning to student teach their children. And we want to give them very specific ways to do that. If you're trying to frame this for your parents, one of the things that we know about adult learning is adults are very problem centered. They're like, I have this problem. How do I fix this? Very Darius, like, that's me. Starting really high level and be like, hey, interested in thinking about how to teach your learner? They're like, no. Like, interested in how to help your learner who is struggling with addition and subtraction? Yes. And so y'all already, even from the chat, I can already tell y'all have such a pulse already on what your family, oh, fourth grade math, I got you. Parents have such a they're so overwhelmed with something specific. So I would start with specific things and say, I've heard some things about fourth grade math. Look at this. And then you can just give them one part of the parent guide or one link. And then they'll be like, where'd you get that from? You're like, there's a whole guide. But that way, like, you can zoom in on one part of it and then zoom out. But this is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Okay, great. So let's go into breakout rooms. And when we come back from breakout rooms, we're going to show you a couple of other great features of Wide Open School. But to Gretchen's point just now, the whole idea is not to overwhelm and to do it in bite-sized chunk pieces, and so that we can learn from each other. So Laura's going to do her magic. We're going to go into breakout rooms, and then she's going to give a reminder in a few minutes to start talking if you haven't already started talking. Okay, great.
Hi, Laura.
Hello.
I'm actually multitasking. I'm in class right now teaching. I
Oh,
snuck into this group because I know that you guys you always have good stuff to offer. And so our parent coordinator is kind of like in and out. So I've been kind of like
okay.
wearing her hat as well. So um I'm here just trying to get some information, make sure I could turn key to the parents at our school. So I didn't hear the question though, what we're supposed to be doing in the breakout rooms.
Sure. So this is basically a time for you to just talk with, others and kind of, share how might you share out some of these parent guides and like what
Mhm.
could you do to reach out. And really, it's very low pressure. Um, I don't want folks thinking that like you have to come up with like this whole bam presentation. Like that's why I kept saying like you got to make this stuff fun because I think some families are starting to lose steam.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I was gonna
I
share,
mean,
my
people
daughter
are
is,
zoomed out, right?
oh, we are, we certainly are. Oh my God. I was just talking to a parent at my school and we talked about possibly doing a virtual sip and paint, right? Just to give parents a
Yep.
break. And if they wanted to include their families, it could be a family sip and paint. But really just try, we don't and we expect parents to do so much and then there's no outlet. So parents, some of our parents have expressed the fact that they don't, everybody, there's this pressure of them wanting to make sure their kids are online in the right class, doing the right thing, not playing this game, not doing it, but they don't have the tools to ensure like what does Google Classroom look like, right? What does Zoom look like? What should I be looking for on my kid's screen to know that they're actually in class? Or what could I do at home to make it fun for my kids to be engaged in their class? I could tell you that my daughter is a high school freshman, and I've had to be very careful on how I word my responses to her teachers because I have to remember that I'm just, I'm wearing the hat that I'm wearing, but really concerned that as a high school freshman, um, that her classes are not I mean, I wouldn't say super engaging, but I'm watching my daughter go. This is a kid who loves school from K-8, and now with this environment is like nobody talks in my class, and I can hear it because we're our rooms are
Hmm.
only very limited distance, but I can hear there's no engagement in the classes, or it's the teacher talking for 40 minutes. And my daughter's like, there's no, like, we just hear the teacher talk for 40 minutes. So with our kids from middle school, I teach in a middle school, we try as much to keep I will say that the parents they enjoy that we send them everything. So the laughing thought is our community coordinator and myself, we're the thing one and thing two in our school. So that's how the parents address us. And we love it though, because we know we bombard them, but we do appreciate the fact that they feel like they can definitely call on us. And so that's been some of the things that have been expressed is like other people have said earlier in the on the Mentimeter, parents not knowing what it looks like or what they should
Hmm.
be looking for when their kids are like in a Google Classroom or on a Zoom, or sharing content that teachers like kind of like not sharing, kind of like a curriculum or even just like a wiki calendar. We're working on multiplication, we're working on the civil rights, or we're working on how to write an essay so that they can be more engaged at home, because it kind of sort of our parents have kind of felt like they've been left out. So in order for them to help their kids to be able to know like what's at least going on in the classroom.
I mean, everything you just said.
Sorry,
I mean,
sorry.
no, no, no. Everything you've said though is so valid. And that is why, the fact that we have so many getting fatigued by all of this, both our students, both families, that feeling of like, no one's talking. it is why I've been really, really specific about telling folks you got to make it more fun. Like that has to be at the forefront, because if all you're doing is expecting folks to just kind of, take information and just kind of take it and internalize it, and here's the content, here, do it, learn it, just here, that's not going to work. That's not effective, right? It's not effective for students, and it's definitely not effective for families. So we've got to approach this, I think, slightly differently, and make sure that we are getting folks the resources that they need, but in a way that's actually meaningful to them. And that's tricky, right? And I'm not saying that, we're going to figure that out, perfectly right now, but I think we can do certain things to just make it feel a bit easier.
And when I was about to start singing, my whole friends started doing a whole choir. And some people, particularly teacher, got so mad.
Right. So we are going to wrap up our breakout rooms in another moment. For those of you who are here, and I know we had some folks who just joined us, we are wrapping up our breakout room. So if you just came in, don't worry. I'm not going to stick you in a breakout room because we're literally about to close them. But when we come back, we'll do a share out. So don't worry. We're going to get all of you who just joined us caught up on the resources today. All right. And I have just closed our room, so it gives folks about a minute to kind of come back. So I know we'll see some folks start trickling in.
Do we have to sign in?
So we do our sign in actually at the end, only because it ensures that folks stay. But we'll go over all of that information toward the end of our presentation. We will make sure you get credit for today. And for those of you returning, welcome back. I hope your time in your breakout room was helpful. And Siobhan, I'm seeing your comment in the chat. Absolutely. Listen, we also need to make time to vent. This is hard. This is totally hard stuff. March 16th, I believe, is the day we all closed down our schools and we went into, lockdown. And since then, school has not looked the same, right? So we're fast approaching that 1 year mark. And this is hard. This is absolutely really, really hard. So I don't take it lightly. And I get that sometimes you do absolutely need to vet and say, like, it's not working, or like, we're getting that Zoom fatigue. It's okay. So I believe we should all be back.
Great, thank you. And I know that I had asked in my group if folks would share some of the ideas that they discussed. There was certainly discussion around sharing Wide Open School with all the grade level teams, in preparation for parent conferences, that this could be really helpful, or as parents are reaching out for specific support around different topic areas. And we were also talking about the differences kind of in elementary, middle, and high school, but please go ahead and share any great ideas or questions or concerns that came up in the chat. And I am going to, in the meantime, share some other features of Wide Open School as well, and then we'll have another chance to kind of explore and reflect too. Before we break in, I lost Gretchen on my screen, but Gretchen, anything to add?
The only thing I'm just echoing what you said before is that as y'all go through, one of the things we talked about in our group, and I think it was in the chat too, somebody said 4th grade math, if there are certain content areas that your families are just like, I literally am having so much trouble with this, please email us, because there might be ways that like I could do like a quick video, or I've done some sessions with schools and parent sessions where like I might have a clip of me explaining it to a parent, and that you can show, and it'll go along with some of the guides. And so we're still trying to make sure that we are being as thoughtful and creative as possible, so that we can be as responsive as possible. And so please don't hesitate to let us know in what areas you want us to focus.
That's great. Thank you. And I feel like there was a question in the chat. Yes, this will be shared as a recording for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And I'm going to take us back to, I'm just going to open the tab again. We're looking at kindergarten. I'm going to go to nycwideopenschool.org. Again, if you haven't bookmarked this, go ahead and bookmark it. And I want to show you a couple of the other features. And as I'm walking through this, I'm just going to say, Gretchen, jump in. Laura, Derry, jump in at any point if I miss anything or you want to add. So we talked about the parent caregiver guides. I'm going to highlight right here the daily plan. So the daily plan is literally a list of activities, a plan that you can have for your kids. We've broken it down by preschool. And I know there was a question about the early childhood centers before, so this would be perfect if we clicked on preschool. Preschool, K through 2, 3 through 5, and then middle and high school. And the idea here is that literally, I mean, I can share a personal example. My daughter's first grade teacher, her internet was out the other week, and she was like, you know, sent a message, so sorry, you know, it's just out, what can you do? And I was like, no worries. I went right to Wide Open School. I went to the daily plan and I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I was in the K through 2 category. And I was like, let's pick and choose what I like here. Here's a math activity. Here's reading and writing. Here's an emotional well-being. We can do one or all of these. There's also always like a non-digital activity as well. So off taking a break from screen time. And again, I know internet access is still an issue in many homes too. So having those resources. And I've also found this really helpful for with friends who maybe grandparents are watching the kids or they have other caregivers and are able to say like, hey, when they're going online and they're not doing school-based work, here's some great safe sites that have already been vetted. You know, they're not going to take them anywhere crazy and you can check it out. And as a reminder, Wide Open School partnered with over 85 organizations to provide free high quality content. So you can see here, this is one from Sesame Street. When you click on this link, it's going to take you directly to the Sesame Street site. Sometimes it will take you to a site that is a Wide Open School site, but a lot of them are taking you to the other partner site. I'm going to pause here. Anything to add, Gretchen, Derry, or Laura?
We have a question. Is there a site for high school?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So you can also, I'm going to click over here, grades 9 through 12. And this is updated, by the way, every day, and you can go back 2 weeks or forward 2 weeks too. So some of these you'll see it says it'll be a resource that's appropriate, you know, for upper elementary to high school, some that might just be for high school. This is from QED, you know, is the internet making you meaner, for example.
We have another question. We have a lot of L families. Does it come in various languages?
So at the top, you can choose your language. This is powered by Google Translate. So the descriptions can be translated. Once you go to that site, it won't be translated because it's on a different site. So it'll be in English typically. But the idea, except for the youngest kids, is that kids are then able to go and do these activities by themselves, so that the parent or caregiver can see the overview of what the topics are in their home language, and then the kids will be doing the activities in English. Another piece to highlight here, so this was looking at the daily plan, which is on the home page. Another thing that you can do if you're like, okay, I don't need to go directly to a daily plan, but I do want to find supplemental activities for my kids, is going to the top here where it says student activities. And now I have a whole list of different topics to organize and find resources on. So let's say, you know, this is, again, in my house, we're like, okay, let's learn more about Black history and culture. We're clicking here. I can, again, look at it based on grade levels and find age-appropriate resources. And I'm going to click on high school because I know there was a question about high school before. So I'm just scrolling slowly so that you can get a feel.
So I also want, Talia, if you can go really quickly to the Learning Hero website. I want to spotlight, because parent-teacher conferences are coming up, And Learning Heroes is another great partner who actually created a lot of content regarding how to have a successful conversation during parent-teacher conference. And it is grade level that meets um, elementary, middle, and high. And if you guys want, there's some guides that you can send to to parents in advance to parent-teacher conference, so that they can have some conversations. And there's actually a like a toolkit or step-by-step guide. I love the 5 steps for a different kind of school year. That's another guide that we provided. We also had a workshop. I can also add in the link a guide that they made for us at FACE that talks about parent-teacher conference. If we can't find it, it's on the site. If you go on the Learning Hero website, there's a guide that it's called a readiness check. So a readiness check tool is a tech tool that teachers and parents can work together to make sure that the parents are understanding what's happening in the classroom, and just a guide on how they can work together so that that child has a successful conference. So yes,
And-
check out the Learning Hero guide.
Oh, great. And I think maybe Nancy put that in. And I just wanted to show everyone when you said, can you find that resource, that I went into the search and I just typed in Learning Heroes. So that's another thing you can always do is type into the search if you hear about a resource that you're excited about, and check out there. And actually, Derry, you're reminding me that the other area to highlight is the Family Center. So that's also at the top here. When I click on Family Center, so you'll see, once again, it's got another link back to those parent and caregiver guides that Gretchen was sharing with us a moment ago. I'm going to click the back button for a moment. And then you have all these other different topic areas here. So I am going to click for a moment on Family Services. And for you to see that you know, over here, that's specifically from the DOE, the Family Child Care Program. So you can refer families here for more information. The takeout meals for students. And I know in the earlier challenges, we were talking about food and housing and child care and security too.
There was a question in the chat about ACT and SAT preparation, and when I searched it, I didn't see it. But there's 2 things around ACT and SAT preparation. One is my sister scored something ridiculous on the SAT. It was bananas. And I was just like, God, how did she do that? And then after college, I remember like rereading like Pride and Prejudice. And I was like, oh my gosh, all the SAT words that I was like studying on flashcards are in the book, you know? And so I know this sounds super random, but on YouTube and there's like a bunch of free audio books that go with classics. That is one of the best ways to prepare for the SAT and the ACT in terms of the verbal section, because you will get the words and the language in context. And so they'll be able, instead of just trying to memorize a whole bunch of stuff kind of like in a shortened period of time, they'll be able to learn it within context. And so I just want to put, like, there's going to be resources on the website that are linked to really good articles, really good things, and so that you can learn SAT, ACT skills within the context of real life things, as opposed to just test prep.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gretchen, for that.
And Derry, I also don't know, adding to that, if just to respond, I put it in the chat, there is no login required when you do go to Parent University, because that's taking you to the DOE Parent University site. It looks like you have to sign in. And Derry, there might be some classes on SAT and ACT prep on Parent University too, right?
I'm not sure, but I definitely, if someone can take a look, but we tried to put as much information, but if we don't have it, I think that's another
Don't get it.
we can add. I also want to add that on the Parent Coordinator website, we are highlighting, and I send it to Linda, we do highlight I'm gonna put it on the chat. We are highlighting Wide Open Schools on the PC website. So as you guys are navigating on the PC website, parent, the Wide Open School is on the PC website. So if you're using it, please let us know, because what I would love to do is spotlight some of your strategies and put some quotes on the Wide Open School. So we have this blank space, and I would love to see your schools, pictures, and just highlight how you guys are using Wide Open Schools. This is your website, so we're always modifying it and updating it. So let us know, give us some quotes, send us some pictures, and we will send us some videos, and we will add it into the Wide Open School section.
Oh, that's great. That's really exciting. I wanna pause again and give you a little bit of exploration time to look at the daily plan, to look at the student activities and the family center. And we will also, hopefully, I think, Derry, be adding some direct links to FACE, to the parent coordinator site under family services too. That's the goal. Just going through the approval process.
And FLCs and FSCs, you guys
Yes,
are going to
yes.
be spotlighted because you are our frontliners, our heroes. So we want to just make sure that you guys are spotlighted on the site.
Thank you. And I just have to apologize. I mess up all the acronyms all the time. So thank you, Derry. What are transparent facilitation moment? What do you think about doing another few minutes of breakout rooms? Or do you think we should give people a moment to just pause and we're kind of talking through as a whole group?
You can put like 1 or 2 in the chat if you want to. Like 1, if you want to just kind of get on breakout rooms, or 2.
Breakout.
Yep, breakouts. Okay. Well, I'm seeing some 2s too.
Twos. Talk as a whole group. Oh, yeah. You know what? Why don't we talk as a whole group and then we can unmute? So if we have anyone who wants to unmute themselves, give us some feedback. Let us know what you're thinking. Like, let's brainstorm together as a group. I love that. And then, so do we have any brave participants who would like to unmute themselves and just kind of just share a little bit about what you heard today, what you like, what we can take back and discuss as a team? So we have Barbara. Barbara, please unmute yourself. Hi, Barbara.
Hey there. So I'm new to the parent coordinator world. I've only been thank you. I've only been on the job for like 4 days.
What?
Okay.
Yeah. So my school that I'm at Twills Astoria. So it's middle school and high school. So I was the one who asked about the SAT and the PSATs because I know like the 4 days that I've been there, I've heard a lot of feedback from parents that they're a little nervous about their 10th and 11th graders with the PSATs and SATs that just happened, I believe. So if you can repeat again, like the best resources to direct them for that.
Oh, go ahead, Gretchen. Oh, you know what? We can't hear you, Gretchen.
Because I put myself on mute on my computer. I will put together like a little 1-pager of like some resources for high school based off of what I can like pull, and I can send that out. I can send that out to like anybody who has it, who needs it. And then also the biggest thing, that one of the things that we're hearing a lot from parents of high schoolers and middle schoolers is some of the basic skills around being independent learners and having it. And so parents are owning a lot of it. They're like, oh my goodness, I'm worried about what's going on with like their SAT, but the kids are like, like, and so we want to make sure that families are asking questions to their children, as in addition to parents trying to make sure that they have all the resources to give their children. Because if parents do all this scouring and we give them a 1-pager and then we give it to a child that is not a part of or engaged in the process, it's not going to do what anybody wants it to do, right? So one of the things you kind of, even as families are kind of obsessing and thinking about it, one of the things I like to always say is like, this is something that we're doing with our children, not to them or for them. We're doing it with them. And so if they're saying, hey, I'm really worried about the SAT that just happened, you're like, oh my goodness, you're doing it with them. So what is your child worried about? They were like, they ain't worried about anything, or okay, so your homework, I'm going to give you some resources, but your homework too is to figure out what are they worried about, because then parents are going to have those beautiful conversations that only they can have with their learners. And their child might be like, I'm just worried that I don't even want to do it for real, and then they'll be able to get to the root of some issues, so that by the time they actually put together, here's this SAT prep, the child will actually be motivated to do it. But if we skip that step, then we're just going to give a whole bunch of resources. These children can find anything on the internet. So there's a reason why they're not Googling PSAT practice. So we need to get at that first, so that we're not all wasting our time.
What I love about Nancy just also provided some great resource hot off the press from the DOH. There's a COVID guide, so thank you so much, Nancy. I love the space. Our Friday is all about learning and growing and just sharing each other's expertise. So I really appreciate each and every one of you guys just dropping some new knowledge and dropping some new information. Anyone else wants to unmute themselves? Let us know what you're thinking. How is this information? And just give us something also to think about. Maybe we can go back and think about some of the things that you guys want. So I see Debbie. Debbie, you're raising your hands. I love it.
Hi. So I'm in a middle school in Queens, and I think it's a great resource. And, as Barbara's 4 days old, I'm 18 years in. So so it's like I had brown hair when I started. So, it's a great resource. I always like to hear new things every year, because it gets me excited to see new options and information that might be the same that's put in a different way. I like the idea of those cards. I was only concerned that there's too much information for the parent to look at all at once. And I know for me, I prefer the bullet method, to take that information and it's okay, what are the continents? What are so that if I am cooking or preparing something or doing something else, I can look at the card quickly and say, okay, here's my points. And now while I'm mixing the dinner, I can have the conversation and get them in. I just found it was the great information just for me, a lot of information on one page. But I love the idea that it's broken up in grades. Sometimes I feel middle school gets, there's a lot of emphasis on elementary school and we get forgotten. So I was thrilled to see all the upper grade information. And I did start to look through some of it. So I'm excited to try and figure out a way to present it to the parents. And I'll probably do that at PTA meetings.
Thank you, Debbie. When I worked in the middle school, we used to have middle school cafe. And in the middle school cafe, we used to present a topic. So I will pull information from our priorities of the month. So every middle school cafe each month, parents were able to get some new information. So I love how you broke it down. So thank you for that feedback. We have room for one more feedback, and then we're going to wrap up our Friday. So does anybody want to leave us with one final thought? And then
I think Mr. Cruz has his hand raised.
Mr. Cruz, unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi. How you doing? Yes, I really liked. Hi, how you guys doing? I really like this resource, especially when we haven't seen anything for high school, but I know the resources are there. And what I appreciated though, what she mentioned, the fact that these can also work for grandparents, because I saw a lot of the early childhood stuff. It's something that I would definitely recommend for my grandchildren. I carry around a bag of books whenever I go visit them, and it's that grandpa reading time. So I always have a problem with what they're viewing or what they're on with those on the web, because everybody's always on their tablet. That's the new babysitter these days.
Yes.
So I don't really appreciate that, but thank you for those resources.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? Something Gretchen and team, one of our colleagues mentioned, would it be possible for an app? I was like, whoa, that's a great idea. So something to think about. With that, we are done. We are out of time. So I just want to just shout out Gretchen and Kylie and all the folks at DOE and all of our community partners who just helped us to create this wonderful tool for us as family liaisons, educators, parents across New York City. We are grateful. I always like to put my heart because we appreciate you guys thinking about us and how we are helping our parents, our students, really thrive in today's world. So thank you for all your hard work. Thank you to all of our attendees and our participants and for all the feedback and just for being who you are. Thank you for just being, the heart of family and community empowerment. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laura. She's still here to end us. And we can't wait to see you on our next Friday. So stay tuned for our next, actually, not stay tuned. We know what's next Friday. We know what we're doing. Can't wait. I'm excited about it. And then on March 10th, we are doing Watch Party Wednesday. Please invite your colleagues. I dropped it in the chat. I'm gonna actually see if I can check out the parent. Actually, I'm gonna bring you to the parent coordinator team channel where it has a Zoom link to Watch Party Wednesday, all about advancing equity. So thank you guys. Laura, back to you.
Wait, Derry, I was just going to say, can I just add things before going to Laura? So thank you, Derry. And I just really wanted to say to everyone, we know there is so much going on, and for you to take the time every week to come, it means so much. And I can also just tell you, I'm not going to get emotional, but like as a parent, I know you guys are working so hard and it shows. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Are we going to put the attendance sheet up?
Yep, give us 1 second.
Thank
This
you.
technically goes till 11:15. So I know folks are asking. We're gonna pop the link into the chat. This session is called Deep Dive into Wide Open School. So I will pop the name in. My colleague Latiqua is gonna pop in the link to the form, and there it is. So like I said, the name of this session is Deep Dive into Wide Open School. Just so that you guys are aware, and you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here just to make it even easier. Here we go. All of our sessions are listed in alphabetical order. So if you're wondering, because I get it, you could endlessly scroll like, oh my goodness, all this PD, but it is right here. It is Deep Dive into Wide Open School. So we ask that all of you fill out this form. It's a Google form. And what's going to happen is after today's session, you'll get a follow-up email. For those of you who've been attending, you know how this goes. You know the drill. You'll get a follow-up email from Digital Accessibility. It will prompt you to give us feedback on this class. And we really do encourage you to do that because we use your feedback to make these sessions even better. So be honest with us, be real with us. And then if those of you who need CTLE need it, within that Survey Gizmo survey will be an option to request CTLE. And at that point, there's a couple more fields to fill out, but then you'll be good to go. And it automatically gets emailed to you. All right. So with that being said, once you fill out the form, you're welcome to drop off of this live webinar. We'll stay on for a few more moments. I know folks like to chat, and if you have any lingering questions, any kind of last minute things, you're welcome to either pop it into the chat or unmute. But again, I want to echo what all of my teammates have said. Thank you. You guys are absolutely the real heroes. You are, coming, you're showing up, you clearly care about this work, and you're doing everything you can under the sun to get this information to families. And like I said, for that, you guys are the real heroes. All right. And I'm seeing in the chat again, what's the name of the session? So I'm going to scroll down. So those of you seeing my screen, it is this one right here, Deep Dive into Wide Open School. So I have it highlighted on my screen. I'm going to pop it into the chat one more time.
While you guys filling out the signing sheet, I just put some music to end us, the electric slide. So you guys want to feel yourself. Maybe we have a brave participant who can show us how to electric slide. If you don't know how to electric slide.
Derry, I think that's you.
Okay, I'm gonna do the remote version. We're gonna do the. I think I'm gonna play the cha-cha. Happy Friday, everyone. Have a great weekend. Happy Woman Empowerment Month. Oh my God. Super excited. We just got a new chancellor. Oh, and it's a woman. And it's our first African American woman, Black woman chancellor. Ah,
Debbie, how do you put the music? You just put your phone and put it next to your speaker or something?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Try it out at your next meeting.
That's what I'm gonna do.
You know, you can even put a playlist. And then what I do is I monitor two channels. We stopped the recording, right, Laura?
You know what? We can. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me stop it.